Hello viewers. In this video, I am going to discuss about the mechanism of enzyme action. Before discussing this topic, let's quickly recap the important points which we need to know to understand it. Now the first question, what are enzymes? Enzymes are globular proteins, that is, tertiary structure of proteins get folded, bended and twisted to result in the spherical or globule-like shape. Then the second, enzyme lowers the activation energy of a reaction. And what is activation energy? It is the minimum energy required for a chemical reaction to take place. So lowering of activation energy means that the rate of reaction is increased. So now let's discuss that how enzymes act on the substrate to give the product. The basic enzyme catalyzed reaction is E stands for enzyme, S for substrate, this is enzyme substrate complex and this is the product. So in the first step, enzyme reacts with the substrate to form enzyme substrate complex and then the product is released and enzyme is regenerated. Formation of enzyme substrate complex. It is the first step in enzymatic catalysis. The substrate is bound to a specific region of the enzyme called the active site. Now some features about active sites. Number one, the active site takes up a relatively small part of the total volume of an enzyme. It generally occupies less than 5% of the total surface area. So active site makes up only a small component of the overall enzyme. That is, the active site is much smaller than the actual size of the enzyme. And so, most of the amino acid residues in an enzyme are not in contact with the substrate. Second point, active site has a specific shape due to the tertiary structure of the protein. I have discussed just now that the tertiary structure of the protein is resulting due to the folding, bending or twisting of the protein chain. So there is a specific shape. An active site has a specific shape due to this tertiary structure of the protein. Third point, a change in the shape of the protein affects the shape of the active site and hence the function of the enzyme. So for the enzyme to function, the shape of the active site is very, very important. If there is a change in the shape of the protein, then the shape of the active site will be changed and hence the function of the enzyme will be affected. Fourth, the active site is a three-dimensional entity formed by groups that come from different parts of the linear amino acid sequence. Indeed, residues far apart in the linear sequence may interact more strongly than adjacent residues in the amino acid sequence. That is, certain amino acids which are not necessarily adjacent in the primary structure, but they are brought together through the folding and thereby producing an active site. Now let's discuss this point by taking this example. This is unfolded lysozyme. Lysozyme is an enzyme and this is the enzyme containing 129 amino acids. This is N-terminal, this is C-terminal. So this is the 129 amino acid sequence chain of the lysozyme. This is unfolded. Okay. And now this is folded lysozyme. This is folded one. As you can see here, this is the active site. Okay. And the important groups in the active site are contributed by residues numbered 35, glutamic acid at 35, aspartic acid at 52, tryptophan at 63, alanine at 107. So you can see that the active site is made up of a specific sequence of amino acids which are brought together through the folding. Okay, so active site contains the residues that come from different part of the enzyme. So this is the example for that. Then the fifth point, substrates are bound to the enzymes by relatively weak forces. Okay, so active site binds substrates reversibly by, for example, hydrogen bonds, van der Waals forces, etc. These all promote the reversible binding between active site and the substrate. Active sites are clefts or grooves or crevices and contains amino acids such as aspartic acid, glutamic acid, lysine, serine, etc. The side chain groups like COH, NH2, CH2OH group, etc. serve as catalytic groups in the active site. Aspartic acid, all of you know aspartic acid is the amino acid containing the side chain as COH. Same with the glutamic acid because both of them are acidic amino acids, so they contain extra COH group. Lysine is a basic amino acid, so one extra NH2 group, and serine contains CH2H group. So these are the amino acids which are present at the active sites, and these side chains serve as a catalytic groups in the active site. The non-polar character of the crevice enhances the binding of the substrate, again due to non-polar interaction. In addition, the crevice creates a microenvironment in which certain polar residues acquire special properties which are essential for their catalytic role. So to understand all these features, you can watch my video on mechanism of enzyme action in which I have explained everything by taking trypsin as an example. Now the ninth, the forces that draw the substrate into the active site are mainly of the same forces that maintain tertiary structure in the folding of the peptide chains. For example, electrostatic interactions, hydrogen bonds, and hydrophobic interactions. All these interactions help in attracting and binding the substrate molecule. For example, at the active site, a negatively charged side chain of an amino acid residue can associate with a positively charged group on the substrate. For example, at the active site, let us take glutamic acid or aspartic acid is present. So we know that at these amino acids, the side chain is containing COH group. So that COH group exists as COO negative. So the negative charge is present on the side chain. So if at the negative charge is present on the side chain at the active site, then it can form bond with the positive charge group on the substrate. Similarly, a hydrogen bond donor which is present at the active site, this can form bond with a hydrogen bond acceptor on the substrate. And hydrophobic groups which are present at the active site can associate with hydrophobic groups on the substrate. For example, you know, valine, leucine, isoleucine, these are phenylalanine. These are the amino acids which contain hydrophobic groups. So hydrophobic groups, if they are present at the active site, then it can form bond with the hydrophobic groups which are present on the substrate. So these are the various interactions between the enzyme, active site of the enzyme and the substrate. Now, the specificity of binding. Enzymes are highly specific in nature. That is, an enzyme usually catalyzes a single chemical reaction or a set of closely related reactions. Okay, so most of the enzymes are highly selective in their binding of the substrates. Indeed, the catalytic specificity of enzymes depends in large part on the specificity of the binding process. So that means since enzymes are specific in nature, so why they are specific nature? It depends upon how the binding process takes place. So the specificity of the binding process is playing a very important role in deciding the catalytic specificity of the enzymes. The specificity of binding depends on precisely defined arrangement of atoms in an active site. So there are two models. One is log-key model. This model was proposed by Fischer in 1894. A substrate must have a matching shape to fit into the site. That is, the substrate is said to fit the enzyme much as a key fits a lock. Okay, so just like a particular lock can be opened by a particular key, the geometry of the enzyme, that is lock, is complementary to that of the substrate, that is key. Thus, the substrate fits into the enzyme as a key fits into a lock. So this is the log-key model. Okay, so a particular enzyme can act on a particular substrate. In this model, see, the substrate, this is the shape of the substrate and this is the shape of the active site of the enzyme. So the substrate fits precisely and perfectly into the active site due to the exact complementary shape. Since both of them have exact complementary shapes, so therefore the substrate fits precisely and perfectly to give enzyme-substrate complex. And this is the reason which explains that why a particular enzyme can act on a particular substrate. Okay, so let's discuss about the stereospecificity of enzyme. What is stereospecificity? Stereospecificity means that they catalyze only one stereoisomeric form. For example, this how we can explain. Let's see two different examples. This is the first example. This is an optically active compound. All of you know it is optically active compound because it contains 4 different groups or atoms. If you take this compound and if you want to draw the mirror image of this, then it will be like this. So these two are the mirror images of each other. So one is, they are the enantiomers. One will be D, another will be N. So they are enantiomers and this is the enzyme. Okay. Now if we assume that an optically active compound can be bound to the enzyme through a minimum of 3 points. I have drawn these 3 points. So a minimum of 3 points, then fit will occur either with D or with L, but not with both. Okay, so let's try this. This is D. If you want to fit the D into the enzyme, you can see it fits so perfectly. Now you take L and try to fit it on the enzyme. It cannot fit into it. So either D can fit or L can fit. In this example, D fits so well. Okay, so D will bound to the enzyme. So therefore, the enzyme, it shows that why the enzymes are stereospecific in nature. Only one stereoisomer can form complex with the enzyme, another cannot. Okay, so that means this enzyme will catalyze only this stereoisomer and not this stereoisomer. Okay, this is one example. Let's discuss another example. Pyruvic acid. This is pyruvic acid and the pyruvic acid get reduced to lactic acid. And the reduction takes place by converting this carboxyl group, this carbonyl group into OH and H. Okay, so there is the addition of hydrogen. So the pyruvic acid, this is the enzyme which is acting on it. So the pyruvic acid molecule fits, see, it fits into the enzyme by one way only. This is the way by which it can fit. Or no other way is possible through which the pyruvic acid can fit into the enzyme. So this is the way by which the pyruvic acid molecule fits into the enzyme. And hence the hydrogen transfer must occur only through one phase. So as I told you, reduction, for the reduction the hydrogen will get added up. So there is only one possibility through which the hydrogen can get added up. So you will end up with only one enantiomer of lactic acid, only this enantiomer. Okay, so this is another example of stereospecificity of an enzyme. I hope I am clear about why the enzymes are stereospecific in nature, how we can explain that the enzymes are stereospecific in nature. So this is all about the first model, that is the Lockey model. Now the second model is induced fit model. This model was proposed by Koshland in 1958. The active sites of some enzymes are not rigid. In such an enzyme, the shape of the active site is modified by the binding of the substrate. The active site has a shape complementary to that of the substrate only after the substrate is bound. Like we have seen in Lockey model, the shape of the substrate and the active site are exactly complementary to each other. While in case of induced fit model, the active site is not rigid, and it is not exactly complementary also, but the active site become complementary to that of the substrate only after the substrate is bound to it. So this is induced fit model. Name indicate induced. The fit is induced. Okay. And is similar to the changes that occur in the shape of a glove when a hand is inserted into it. So you all know that the glove is flexible and has no rigid shape. But when the hand is inserted into it, it acquires the shape of hand. That means the shape of the active site is not exactly complementary. However, upon binding of the substrate to the active site, the binding causes the active site to become complementary to that of the substrate. So create a good fit. Now let's see the example. This is the example for induced fit model. This is substrate, this is enzyme, and it is the active site in the enzyme. It is not rigid, but when and even not complementary to that of the shape of the substrate. But when the substrate binds to it, enzyme changes shape as substrate binds. Okay. So what is the advantage of induced fit model over the Lockheed model? There are two advantages. Number one, it explains broad specificity of the enzymes. Now in the Lockheed model, we have seen that in the Lockheed model, a particular enzyme can act on a particular substrate. But it is not always the case. For example, urease. Urease you can use for urea. So it is specific. So you can explain the example by taking Lockheed model. But if it is esterase, esterase is an enzyme which hydrolyzes any ester. Not specifically one ester, but any ester can be hydrolyzed by the enzyme esterase. That means if you have to explain the function of esterase by using Lockheed model, you cannot explain it, because according to that, the esterase, that enzyme can act only on a particular substrate. But in the induced fit model, it is possible because the active site of the enzyme is not rigid. So, and it takes the shape of the substrate when it's bind to it. When the substrate binds to the enzyme, then the active site takes the shape of the substrate. And therefore, this broad specificity of the enzyme can be explained by induced fit model, but not by Lockheed model. The second point, it explains how the conformational change stresses bonds in the substrate and increases the reactivity. When the substrate comes and binds to the active site, then there is a stress in the bonds which is to be broken down, and therefore it approaches to the transition state, and therefore the reactivity is increased. We will discuss it later on also in this video. So this model, so out of the two model, induced fit model and Lockheed model, induced fit model is more accepted model. Now let's discuss the mechanism of enzyme action by taking Lockheed model. So enzyme, this is enzyme and this is substrate, exactly complementary to each other. Then enzyme substrate complex is formed, the bond breaks down, and then the products are released and enzyme is regenerated. So this is the way how we can explain the mechanism of enzyme action by taking Lockheed model. Now let's discuss the mechanism of enzyme action by induced fit model. So substrate, enzyme, then enzyme substrate complex is formed, and then the products are formed and enzyme is regenerated. So these are the two ways, the two models by which we can explain the mechanism of enzyme action. Now let's discuss high efficiency of enzyme catalyzed reactions. Enzyme catalyzed reactions are highly efficient. There are several contributing factors which have been suggested to account for their high efficiency. Now let's discuss them one by one. The first is binding of the reactant molecules to the enzyme results in increase of surface area of reactant molecules. That is, as surface area increases, number of reactant molecules exposed also increases, which results in more collisions and thus rate of reaction increases. Okay. The second point, binding causes the reactant molecules to be oriented correctly, and hence the transition state is reached more readily. So due to the correct orientation, due to that the transition state is reached more readily, more easily. Okay. And the third point, the binding produces a strain effect in the reactant molecules, and hence the bonds to be broken are deformed, so being brought into a state close to those existing in the transition state. So due to this strain effect, what has happened is that the bonds to be broken to form the products are deformed, they get deformed, and so a state close to the transition state is reached. And these are the factors which are responsible for lowering down the activation energy of the reaction. So the energy required to lower activation energies is generally derived from weak interactions between the substrate and the enzyme. The interaction between substrate and enzyme in enzyme-substrate complex is same as the forces that stabilize protein structure, which we have discussed so many times. So including hydrogen bonds, hydrophobic interactions, ionic interactions. So we have seen that if the enzyme and the active site of the enzyme is having the negative charge on the side chain of the amino acid, then it will bound to the positive charge of the substrate. A hydrogen bond donor side chain of the amino acid at the active site will form bond with the hydrogen bond receptor on the substrate. A hydrophobic side chain of an amino acid at the active site form the bond with the hydrophobic group present in the substrate. So these are the various interactions which are taking place in between the enzyme and the substrate. A small free energy is released in each of these weak interaction in the enzyme substrate complex that provides stability to the interaction. Okay, so since the energy is released, so it becomes stable. The energy derived from enzyme substrate interaction is called binding energy. Okay, and it is the major source of free energy used by enzymes to lower the activation energy of the reaction. So it is this binding energy which is the major source of free energy used by enzymes to lower the activation energy of the reaction. Okay, so the enzymes decrease the activation energies of the reaction catalyzed by them. This we have seen just now. So this is the energy graph. This is energy. This is the reaction coordinate, reactants, products. This red part indicates the reaction in absence of enzyme, and this blue indicates the reaction in presence of enzyme. As you can see here, that this is the activation energy in absence of enzyme. So when enzyme is not there, this is the activation energy. That means the reactants have to cross this energy barrier to convert into the products. While when the enzyme is present, activation energy is lower down, and therefore now more and more reactants and more easily they can get converted into products, and therefore rate of reaction is increased. So in this video, after seeing this video, now you will be able to answer that how enzymes act on the substrate to give the products, how they form enzyme substrate complex, how the activation energy of the reaction is lower down in enzymatic reactions, and why enzyme catalyzed reactions are highly efficient. Okay. Now to understand this topic more clearly, you can watch my video on mechanism of enzyme action by taking example of trypsin. Thanks for watching.